Hello and welcome back to Drunk Approach. Cheers. A lovely Pinot Grigio this evening. So today we're actually going to be doing a flight that I am taking in a few weeks' time. We're going from Manchester. Oh, and we can see they are eager to go. I didn't even press a button there. Why has it done that? We'll address that in a moment. I'm flying from Manchester to Rome, specifically the Fiumicino airport. I always forget how to say it. Fiumicino? That one. That one there. And as you can see, I'm doing it in this wonderful beast. It's an A340-600. And the reason why I'm doing it in this is not because this is the actual plane that will do that route. I'm actually going to be taking the trip in a 737, no doubt, because it's Ryanair. So wish me luck. But I just love the A340. I think it's beautiful. Like if you look at it from this view here, it is a very long plane, massive wingspan, and the 4 engines, which I adore. I love the 4 engines. It's not a massively used plane these days. It tends to be kind of usually put to the side, and airliners will usually go for more energy efficient, economical planes like your Boeing 777s and even your A380s for the long haul stuff. So this one isn't really used that much, but I just love it. But yeah, I think the 4 engines probably makes it quite petrol hungry, which isn't ideal. So let's start in the cockpit and turn on some batteries. So battery 1, battery 2, and our APU battery on as well. We have external power connected, so we can go external B, external A. You might see me looking down occasionally. I fly quite a few different planes on my channel, and I do lose track sometimes of how to start all of them up. They all have very different quirks. So I write notes. I write them on a computer, and it helps me out. So if you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at my notes. If you're interested in seeing the notes, they might be helpful for you if you're just learning how to fly this plane or whatever, then let me know. I can send them your way if that's something you'd be interested in having, because I've got them for a fair few planes. I have a binder. Look at this binder. I have binders. It's very organized. Anyway, so back to the plane. Let's just check our brake accumulator pressure. Now, this is this figure here, this little dial, and we need that in the green, which it isn't at the moment. Sometimes it will be, sometimes it won't be. It's kind of a lottery, really. So we need that in the green. To get that in the green, we go back up here and we go to our blue electronic hydraulics switch thing, which is this one here. So we're going to lift the flap. Come on, lift. There we go. Click it. And we're going to give that 20 seconds, something like that. And that should just charge up the brake accumulator pressure. And it should be in the green if we look down now. Yeah, you can see it is now in the green, which is wonderful news. So we can go back up here, switch that off, close the little window thing. Close your, yeah. Is that closed? It is closed. And that sorted that out. Okay, now we're going to turn on all the fuel pumps. So bang, bang, bang. Bang, 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 bang. We're also going to turn on our crew oxygen supply, and our ground control recorder is on as well. Now, if we go up here, we need to turn these to nav. That's our ADIRS. It basically aligns the plane so it knows where it is. So we do it one at a time. Nav, and then the lights will illuminate and then go off. That's fine. There we go. Second one. And the third one as well. And we can sort some lights out as well. Why not? So what do we need to do here? Strobe light to auto. Come on. There we go. Nav and logo lights to 1. Come on. There we are. Seatbelt sights we'll just put on, no smoking, on. Our emergency lights at the end here, we go to arm. And then our probe and window heat, we can leave that on auto for now. That should be okay if we just leave it like that, which means we don't need to see a light at all. Let's go to our MCDU, which is here. I'm just going to pop it out just because it's a little bit easier for you guys and me to use. So we start with init and type in our route. So it's going to be EGCC LIRF, LIRF. If I put that in, hopefully it'll recognize it in the database. Yes, insert, there we go. Our flight number is going to be VS, I think it is for Virgin Atlantic, 4427. I always go for that number. There's no reason why. It's not my alarm code or anything like that. I just like the number. Now, passenger numbers and all that stuff, we need to go back to our sim brief for that. So passengers, so yes, you can see here, we're going to have 385 passengers. So we can put in 385, yes. Our cost index was 50, I think. Cruising altitude, I'm just looking at my sim brief now, was going to be 39,000 feet. So that's going to be flight level 390. So we can go FL 390. In ground temperature, according to Navigraph, at Manchester is 8 degrees, so we have that in as well. Okay, so it's saying that we've got 6 minutes until our IRS aligns, which is kind of annoying because then I'm just going to sit around and do nothing. But the great thing about the Tollis is it has a setting where I can do it quickly. Here, ADIRU, quick align, bang, that message is gone. We are aligned. Okay, this next bit is about loading the plane. Now, for some reason, the animation started being annoying and closing things and closing doors and taking my stairs away. I'm not going to bother getting them all out again. I just can't be bothered. We're going to go next page, which is this button. There we go. And here we've got some values to put in terms of zero fuel weight and stuff. So that's the loading performance page. So our passenger number, if you remember, was 385. So we can chuck that in. Come on. Give me 385. Why won't you let me select 385? Come on. It's not going to give me 385, so we're going to have 386. It won't matter. We've got no cargo, which is fine. So we can apply those settings. That gives us a zero fuel weight there of 224 tons. Is that right? 224 tons? Yes. So let's put that in here. 224.0. Into that. Bang. And then our block fuel. Now, the fuel we need for this, according to my sim brief, is 29,000 kilograms, so 29 tons. So we just need to adjust this, 29. We'll give ourselves a little bit more, just in case we need it. Do a quick refuel, because I don't have the time to wait around for that either. And then we go into our MCDU and type that in, 29.5 block fuel in. And then we get loads of figures come up, which are very helpful. Okay, now we're just going to double check our flight plan, because it's always good to do that. So if we go flight plan, there we go. And we can see it. If I just rotate that on this screen, we get a nice little visual of it. So if I just pop them out, it'll be a bit easier for you guys to see. There we are. So let's just go down, EGC, let's go. And what we're looking for here is any discontinuities, mistakes. But so far, it's looking pretty good. Not seeing any issues here. There's our takeoff, descent, deceleration. Yeah, that's all looking surprisingly good. There's usually a mistake and you've got to fret over it for ages, but not in this situation. So we're going to open back up our Tollis configuration window, I guess, or what's it calling it? The Interactive Simulation Control System. Catchy. And now we got to enter our performance data. So on the MCDU, we'll click perform and we get these things we need to fill in. So for this thing to kind of know what we're talking about on the MCDU, we've got to go back to our flight plan and then select our departure airport, EGCC. There we go. Click that. Then we can put our departure in here. And so the runway we'll be taking is, I should always remember these things, but I literally always forget all this information. 5 left. So click that. Lovely. The SID we'll be taking is list 2S, which is here. And the transition is listo, but it's not giving me an option there, so that is fine. Just going to go with that. Insert. And then we're going to go to the end of our flight plan and go to LIRF. Click. Lovely. Arrival. And then find our arrival airport, which is going to be 16 right. We are going for, I believe, the Z one, which isn't actually here, unless I've missed it. There it is. Yeah, that's going to be a worry there. Click on that. RZ. Lovely. And then we're going to go to our star, which is going to be LCAT 3B, which is that one. And then our VIA, or our VIA, is eczema, which sounds a lot like eczema. And then transition, none. Insert temporary. And all that information is now in there. And then we get these options here about what kind of configuration we'd like for our takeoff. So we're probably going to go for configuration 3. And then we get these figures here. So we get V1, V2, and V3, which if we go back to our performance page, there we go, we can pop in here. So 152, and then we're going to go 152 again for VR, our rotate speed, and then 156 for V2. And then here we've got flaps THS. So firstly we put in our flaps, which is going to be 3, and then a little dash, and then we're going to put our up figure. Now if we look here, that's effectively going to be our trim, so we're going to go up 2.9. so literally just type that in, up 2.9 in. Lovely. Our flex to temperature, as you can see here, is going to be 71. So we'll go F71. That's in there. And that's all looking good, really. So we can come out of this and start setting up the actual kind of plane itself. The first thing I want to do is sort out our QNH, our departure airport QNH, which according to Navigraph today from Manchester is 1033. So we go over here, change that figure. Oh, I've gone way too far. There we go. Come on. There we go. 1033. You can see here that that is now set. So usually at this point as well, I'll do a situation save with the Tollis, just because things can crash. It happens. So we're just going to call this EGCC setup save situation. And you can see it's just there. So if it all goes tits up, we can go back to this point here where the plane is pretty much nearly set up, which is helpful because it's time consuming doing all this stuff. So let's turn on our flight directors, which actually are already on. Sometimes it will do that automatically for you, other times it won't, so always worth checking. FD there and FD there are switched on. I'm just looking at the radio here as well. Squawk, I'm not using ATC today, but just so the plane is happy, I put in 5576. Make sure this is on auto, that's on 1, that is on, this one is on all, and then this one here is on standby for now. And now it's time to really get things going. We're going to start the APU. So to do that, we need to go down to our APU switch, which is here. So we're going to click Master SW like that, and then we're going to click Start. And there we go. Some figures climbing for us, and soon we'll see APU avail up here, which means APU available. There we go. So it says avail. That means we've got our own power, so we can switch off our external power. We can also now switch on the APU bleed. Take a look outside and you can see the APU is on because we have this sort of air coming out of the arse of the plane. So we can start planning our pushback. So pre-planned pushback, we're going to go like that. That'll do. So click, press enter.
Ground to cockpit. Plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you're ready.
Very loud, man. And we are pretty much ready, so I'm going to go back in there and start.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
Thank you very much. And we can see our man just ploughing through all those boxes of cargo. Doesn't give a flying fuck, that guy. I like him. And you can see there the tow is connecting and just slowly raising the plane.
Tow connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
Let's go and release our parking brake. So to do that, we go down here and twist that to off. Our parking brake has released, but it's just not wanting to go yet, which is a little bit concerning. My parking brake's off. Yes, parking brake off. It doesn't say parking brake on the screen. I think I know why. Is it my chocks? It's the fucking chocks. Off.
Starting pushback and you may start engines.
A silly moment, but we got through. Okay, let's start the engines, for God's sake. So we turn this switch to the right, and it turns it to IGN start, which you can see there. I'm going to start with engine 2, pull that to on. You can see our N2 value is going up, our PSI is increasing as well. Okay, we'll do engine number 1 as well, whilst we're waiting for things to power up here. You can see the engines are powering up and our pushback is done, so we're going to disconnect and we'll see our little guy slowly move off. He's not done a great job there, has he?
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
Okay, we're going to also go engine 3. And then 10 seconds later we do engine 4. So you can see here N3, they've stabilized at 59%-ish, and we're around 18% for N1, which means the startup of the first 2 engines has been good. I very much assume that'll be the same case with 3 and 4. Okay, we're all looking good in terms of engines, so we can go down here, switch the engine start switch back to normal, and we can also switch the APU bleed off at this point as well. So let's arm the spoilers. So we just pull that up there, and that arms the speed brakes. We're going to set our flaps to 3 because that's what we configured, and our trim we need to change as well. So let's just, if we go to flight control, and you can see this figure here, we need that to be 2.9 up. So, come on. There we go. I'm just using a little switch on my joystick that I configured to do this. 2.9. Wonderful. We can now switch off our APU. Like that. That is now off. We're going to switch on our nose wheel light to taxi. There we go. And we can start taxiing to the runway. So time for my slippers to come off. It's time for action. Little sip of wine. Glorious. There we go. That's us there. And we need to be taking off from this one. So we need to go down here. A little bit of a complicated route, but basically forwards, left down here, and then muddle our way through that. Let's go. So parking brake is off, and you'll see the plane is slowly starting to move. Now there is a plane annoyingly parked there, so we're going to have to slightly maneuver around that, but that's okay. That's fine. And we've slightly cut this corner, but you know, this is my game, this is my world. Do what I want. Do a nice left turn. I'm using the pedals to do this at the moment. There we go. I'm going about 20 knots. I've not used any throttle. This is just its idle kind of power pushing me forward. So just gently using the toe brakes to keep things under control. It is really quite maneuverable for such a big plane as well. A nice one to fly. Whilst we're cruising along here, let's do our auto brakes. So if we look here, we want it to be an RTO. So if we click that, oh, come on. It's being a bit buggy. There we go. Wrong button, that's why. RTO, and we can also press our takeoff configuration switch, which is here. It'll tell us if there's any problems. Predicted wind shear off. Oh yes, I forgot that. So if we go down here, where is it? Oh, it's here, yes. Click that to auto, and we're all good. If we look at this screen here, this will tell us if we haven't set up something right, but everything's on green, which is great. And now at this point as well, you might switch on the anti-ice stuff. We're not going to need it really. There's not much cloud or weather going on, so I predict we'll be absolutely fine, he says. A little bit of brakes as we go into our sweeping left turn here. This is runway 5 left. Always good to confirm that on the ground where it has it, because it is very easy to get lost in these airports. There's so many different taxiways and sometimes overlapping runways. It can get a little bit confusing. Let's spin it round. Okay, that's pretty much there. So I'm going to put the toe brakes down fully, and there we go. We're lined up. So with our lights now, we can change the nose to takeoff. Our landing lights need to go on. Our runway turn off lights, I mean, we don't really need them, but fine. Done it. And our strobes to on as well. Go down to our transponder. I'm going to go to TARA, I think. Yeah, TARA. So we can start setting up some of these things here. So our altitude is 39,000. It won't climb to that immediately. It'll be aware of the restrictions all the way on our climb, but it's just good to have that in there. Okay, so what we're going to do is push the throttles to around 50%. Which is about there. Okay, let the engines stabilize, which they are. Good. Then we're going to release the brakes and we'll start rolling forwards. Then we're going to push the throttle into our forward ident, our takeoff ident, which is there. And we're away. Looking good. I'm going to push the nose down a little bit. Okay, we're good now. And very soon we're going to reach our V1 speed.
V1.
There it is. And that is the same as our rotate speed, so we're going to just lift the nose. Try and get a climb of around 10-15 degrees. Okay, so we've got a positive rate, so gear's going to go up. And you can see on our primary flight display we've got a right turn to start with, so I'm just going to ease into that. There we are. Lovely stuff. Going to put our flaps in. 1 notch, flaps in again, and then we're going to push in our Alt button. Come on, there we go, and engage auto throttle, which we have, and then autopilot 1, and you'll see that is now taking control of the plane, and then our final bit of flaps is now in as well. Okay, now we're going to put the throttle into climb mode, so That's the middle ident, and you know you're in climb mode if it says here thrust climb. And because we pushed the Alt button there, we can now see that we are in nav mode. You can also see it saying speed here. It knows there's a speed restriction of 250 at this altitude, so it's slowing down its acceleration. You can hear the engines just spooling back a little bit as well. And we have departed Manchester. There we are. Let's disarm our spoilers, so push. Oh, come on. There we go. And right now we're cruising at 5,000 feet. Once we get to around 10,000, we'll start switching some lights off and getting things ready for the main leg of the climb. You can see in our flight plan now we're just about to pass the 5,000 mark, which means we'll start climbing to 10,000. And if we look over here, we'll see our vertical speed indicator. There you go, start to climb. And now we are accelerating up towards 10,000 feet. And we're approaching 10,000 feet, so let's sort out our lights. We're going to firstly let the passengers walk around, so seat belts off, and our landing lights are off, and our nose light can be off as well. There we go, so that's our business class, first class seats there. And maybe this is business class. Yeah, that was first class at the top, and then this is business class. And there you go, there's the economy seats as well. It's pretty well modelled in here, it's not too bad. I've seen better, I've seen worse. Okay, we've just approached our cruising altitude, so this is where we are. We're just about to go past London and towards the south coast. It's all looking really clear up here. No cloud. I've got this on real weather as well, so this is the actual weather right now. You can actually see as well, there is Heathrow. So we're just going past Heathrow now. And that's really all we need to do for now. We can just sit back and relax, let this cruise for an hour or so, and I'll be right back with you when we start planning our descent. Okay, you join us as we're just about to go over the Alps. You can see the mountain range in front of us, a few of them there. Got this beautiful lake as well, so it's all going to get very nice and scenic. But it does mean we're getting close to our top of descent, which means we need to start having a think about how we're going to land this thing. So, best thing to do is go here first to our landing performance page. Here we go. So there's a few things here that will help us work out what brakes to use, and just to have all the information in one place is quite useful. So 16 right is correct. The wind, we'll just double check our thing. So that's not quite right. It's going to be more like 80 degrees to wind according to Navigraph. Outside temperature is 12, that's fine. Altimeter 1021, fine. It's going to be dry. We're not going to need anti-ice. Landing weight has calculated it for us. Landing configuration, yes, we'll have full flaps. Air conditioning's on as always. And that's kind of the main thing. One thing we need to look at here is our approach speed. Now, to work that out, we need our MCDU. So let's open that and bring it over with us here. There we go. So performance, and next phase, and next phase. Okay, so we can start putting in some of the data from here into here. So the QNH on our arrival is going to be 10, 21. The temperature is going to be 12 degrees. The wind is going to be 80-4. That's 80 degrees, 4 knots. Trans level fine. Our approach speed, this is what it wants us to be approaching at, is 149. So we can pop that in here. 149. Brake modes, let's see what happens when we do low. We will use some reverse as well. So let's compute. There we go. And so that's giving us a pretty healthy margin to work with, nearly half the runway. So I'm happy with brakes being in low mode on arrival, so that's absolutely fine. Now as well, if we look here, MDA-DH, that's our decision height. So if we look at our chart here, this has all the information we need on it. So decision height we'll find here. So we'll do a Cat 2 landing, so our decision height is going to be 112. So we can go 1, 1, 2, decision height, there we go. That's all we need to put in there for now. And you can see as well, have a little break and look out the window. Look at this. But in the meantime, we can start looking at our auto brakes. If we go here to low, we can also, if we go to our radio nav, see if the ILS frequency is dialed in automatically. It hasn't. Sometimes it will, but it hasn't on this occasion. So let's go 109.75. That is our ILS frequency. There we go. If we look at our map here, we can zoom out a little bit. We're about to go past Mogbo, which means the next waypoint, or the next important thing we need to consider, is the descent. And you see that arrow there, that little arrow pointing down, that's when we start descending. So we've got a little bit of a way to go, but before that point, that's when we push the altitude knob, and the plane will, at the moment it's told to, start descending to 4,000 feet in steps, so that it complies with all the speed and altitude restrictions as well. Always good to check the fuel as well, just to make sure nothing's gone wrong there. So you can see that's how much is left in the tanks, and that is how much we've used. So we've got plenty left. I did put a little bit too much in so that we have no chance of running out, because that has happened before. So you can see we've got our arrow in sight now. That's when we're going to start descending. And you can also see that our map has got ILS 16 right. It knows where we're landing. Things are looking good. We're about 30 nautical miles, give or take, away from that descent point. So in a few moments, I'm going to press this altitude button in. That will put us into a managed descent, and we should hopefully start descending at the right time, at the right pace. We probably need a bit of speed brakes just to kind of slow us down at certain points, so we'll just have to see how it goes, make sure we don't overspeed, but it should hopefully be pretty straightforward. You can see outside, a bit cloudier than it was when we left Manchester. It's picked up a little bit, so not quite as clear, but the visibility is still pretty good. Once we get below those clouds, it should be pretty good. It's been a really nice flight, this. I've enjoyed the views over the Alps. I always love flying over the Alps. They're so good. One day when I can actually run X-Plane 12 or Microsoft Sim, I'll do loads of flights over there, because the graphics and the scenery just look so much better. I'm saving up for a new computer, so we will get there. We will get there. It will take time. Okay, so we're getting towards that descent mark. So what I'm going to do, just so we're doing it sooner rather than later, we're going to go here, push that in. You'll see the little dots appeared there, and you'll see the nose of the plane is starting to drop. Sometimes it can be a bit crazy and drop at a really fast pace, but at the moment that's not looking too bad. So you can see here it's going to take us to flight level 50, so that's 5,000 feet, so that'll be the next restriction we hit. So we can't quite go to 4,000 immediately because there'll be a restriction in place. So, but at the moment it's doing it nice and sort of slowly. 1,000 feet per minute is pretty nice. That's a nice little descent, so nothing out of control there. You can see here as well, we've now got these two kind of brackets almost, where we need to be kind of keeping our speed. So ideally it wants us down there at some point, but naturally we're descending, so we're going to be going a bit quicker. So it gives us a bit of leeway. As long as we stay within that, that is good, and it should do that automatically. But if we start to struggle and we start hitting this sort of mark here near the red line, that's when we'll need to use speed brakes just to kind of slow things down a little bit. But overall, descent has started well, and you can see on our map we are now approaching this green area. That's when we'll really start descending, and then this orange area is our approach. So when we get to around there, that's where we want to be at 4,000 feet. So we're going to do it nice and slowly and gradually. This will take some time to go all the way around this. So descending at sort of the slow rate that we are at the moment is absolutely fine. I just think it's a very aesthetically pleasing plane. Look at it. I just think that looks great. Love the 4 engines. Are they necessary nowadays? No, not at all. But it looks good. My throttle is still in the thrust climb mode, but when you get to this stage of the flight, it changes to thrust descent, and you can see as well our brackets have changed slightly, so we've got a little bit less margin up here, and if we start creeping over that, which we may well do here because our vertical speed has just increased, then we might need to use a bit of speed brake just to make sure we're not going too fast. You know what? Let's do that. We're going to just engage a little bit of speed brake, so 1 notch. So you can see here the speed brake's not fully engaged, maybe like a third, just over a third. But that little bit of speed brake has just helped us a little bit. You can see that there you go, our speed is just dropping slightly. So we'll keep it there for now. Okay, you can see that our speed has dropped nicely, so I'm going to put the speed brake back in its place. There we go, and hopefully it can level out our pace as we descend. Okay, we're over mainland Italy now. That was the coast that we just went past there. That, I believe, is Lake Bolsena, if you know what that is. A little bit cloudy. We're going to have about 4 knots of wind. It's at 80 degrees. Our landing's at 159 degrees, so there'll be a slight crosswind, but nothing much we need to worry about. Our altitude is currently just approaching 21,000, so what we're going to do now is engage the QNH for the arrival airport, which is 1021. So we're going to pull that, oh no, push that, yeah, that's it, push it, and then go down to 1021, and that kind of just recalibrates us on the altitude. This is where we are, so we're just about to approach that initial right turn, then looping all the way around, and then you'll see this little D here, and if I can zoom in, we'll get a better view of it. Hang on. There we go. So that D, when we approach it, that's our deceleration point. So that's when the plane will start slowing down to our approach speed to the airport. And here we go. You can see the plane is now tilting to the right all by itself. The beauties of autopilot. And we're just now entering our approach phase. And we're now just going through one of our final big steep turns. You can see on here that we are also approaching the D on the map. That's when we're going to start decelerating. That's when we'll start to have to engage some flaps. But because we're around 10,000 feet now, we can start sorting out some lights. And we're going to go landing lights. Oh, come on. Come on, there we go. And we're going to turn on our seat belts to on as well. We're also, just to prepare us for landing, going to put our landing scale buttons on. So that's that one and then we'll put it on that side as well, and that's going to give us these dots here and here, and as we get closer to the runway, there'll be a sort of magenta kind of little symbol that will float here and here, and that will just let us know how far off course we are, if we're on the ILS glide slope or not. It's quite helpful. Okay, we're now going to start putting some flaps out, and you can see there they're just moving out for us. Marvelous. It's great animation on there on the A340, love that. And we'll go for our final notch of flaps. So that's our flaps fully out, and what's happening now is basically it's decelerating to our landing speed. So, you know, probably a bit too quickly, but I'm not going to interfere. I'm going to leave it, and we'll just approach a bit more slowly. We're also going to arm our spoilers when we're down here as well. We can tell we're getting close to the ILS because we now have these little magenta sort of what do you call that? A diamond? Yeah, magenta diamonds. So basically, once we're on the glide slope, we'll have that diamond central there, that one central there. So in a moment, once we turn into our final turn, that should start lining up. Okay, so now that we're on the right sort of course, I'm going to press our approach button, which is here. That will then give us this GS with a little star, and once we get onto the glide slope, that star will disappear just like that. Look at that timing. And that means we're on the glide slope, which is great. Now that we are, we're going to go gear down. So landing gear down. We're going to switch on our nose light, our takeoff nose light. We're going to switch the runway turn off lights on as well, and we're going to tell the cabin we're landing. So to do that, I think it's this button, or is it this button? Which one is it? That one. And you can see there, because we pressed that button, it now says cabin ready. And here we are. So as you can see, there is the runway. We've currently got 2 red dots and 2 white dots, which means we're bang on course. 2,500 feet there, looking good. When we get to around 1,000, I'll disengage the autopilot and the auto throttle and fly it in myself, which is always nerve-wracking. I've been flying for 2 hours, and if you balls this up, it's so annoying. It's so annoying. Okay, final checks. So our landing gear's down, our flaps are full, our spoilers are armed, we've let the cabin know that we're ready, all our lights are on. I think we're ready. In terms of wind, well, it's different. So the wind's changed direction, so it's a 43 degree wind, 44 now, 5 knots, so not much to contend with, so we should be good. But something to bear in mind if things are going a little bit skew-whiff as we get closer. A little bit misty, but weather's looking good. As you can see, we're very close now to landing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to disengage autopilot and auto throttle as well. A few alarms, but all good. There we go. I'm now in control of the plane. So I'm looking at my flight director in the sort of that far left screen, trying to keep it in between those green crosshairs, also making sure that my speed doesn't get too low that I start stalling, which would be a nightmare right now. But this plane is reasonably easy to fly. It's pretty easy to handle. It's quite forgiving, I think, which is why I love it, because it's massive and it should be more challenging, but it's just so well designed that really it's like flying a small plane.
500.
Okay, that crosswind we were talking about is just taking us slightly to the right, so I'm just going to bring it back in. Just gradually, there we go. Speed's increasing a bit, so I'm just going to take some power off.
300.
Looking good.
200.
Okay, gonna
Minimum.
take off the power, minimums continue, and then lift up the nose, power off.
20. Retard. Retard. 10. 5.
Nose down. You can feel the auto brakes kicking in there. We're gonna go reverse thrusts, which are now engaged, and just give a little bit of a reverse thrust boost to our landing. There we go, taking us below 80 knots. I've not used the manual pedals at all yet. I will now, just to disengage the auto brakes. We're now at 50 knots. We've got a high speed runoff on the left here. I'm gonna put back on the normal thrusters, reverses off, hang a little left here, and there we go. A pretty smooth landing. Pretty smooth. Where should we park? That's always the decision. I think we'll go over here. We'll go right and park somewhere around here. Oh, not the best taxiing there, but luckily it's very quiet. Which one should we go for? Let's go for this second one on the right here. See how well we can get it. Come on. Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah. That'll do us. That will do us. Well, there we have it. Should we have a look at a replay of that? Why not? Yeah. I'm pretty happy with that. That was a pretty nice landing. Yeah, just a little bit off centre. I think that crosswind, I just didn't quite tackle it enough, but hey, you can see that's when the reverse thrusters kick in. Yeah, you can see I just started drifting there. The wind just took me, but I just used a little bit of rudder, steered it back in. No problem there. A little bit of side to side for the passengers, they'll be fine. And you can see nose goes up, power's off, let it just float down, and the nose down as well. Lovely stuff. Well, there we have it. Landed nice and safely in Rome. As you can see, the plane is really easy to fly. It's very similar to the Tollis A340 in terms of the functionality. Obviously, it's a bit bigger. And maneuverability isn't quite as good, but it handles really well. So yeah, overall really pleasing. Hopefully that was helpful to anyone wanting to learn this plane. You can tell that I'm not a professional, but I've sat down, I've made my notes, and you know, the more you do it, the better you get. If you want to have a look at these notes, let me know. I can send you a link and you can download them. Hopefully they'll help you out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.